welcome back to the channel. As you can see in the title, this is 8 book reviews in 8 minutes. I saw this idea from Jack Edwards. His video was very interesting, and I really liked it. My books won't be as interesting as his, but yeah, really cool book YouTube channel, and I recommend it. Recommend his channel and his video. I haven't been here for the last 2 months, but took a healthy break, and now I'm back. I have been reading lots, and so yeah, here's 8 book reviews in 8 minutes. So yeah, first book will be Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. This book takes place a couple of years, I think, after the original trilogy of Star Wars movies. If you like Star Wars, I really recommend it, especially if you're not liking the newer stuff like Kenobi and Boba Fett, and the sequel trilogy that Star Wars is now giving us. But I think fans of the original trilogy definitely would like this book. I really enjoyed it. I am definitely going on to the second and third book. The characters I found very interesting. Even the characters that we already know, Luke, Han, Leia, I find are very interesting, and you learn more about them. And the new characters, Thrawn, the villain, I find him very interesting, and I find him pretty close to my favorite villains, I guess, to Darth Vader. Thrawn is such an interesting villain, and he's very different though, and I find that new is very refreshing. So yeah, next one is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This was my first Frederick Bachman book, and I really enjoyed it. It is essentially about these characters are all going to apartment, open house, and this bank robber, who really isn't a bank robber, breaks in and holds these people hostage. But the hostage situation is very not a hostage. Everyone's just very confused, even the bank robber. And you learn more about everyone's lives and how everyone's life in this apartment is so different and so messy, but they're all connected in some way. I find you learn so much about these characters. It's a very character-driven book, and it deals a lot with depression, anxiety, and how everyone's different, yet we're all the same. We all deal with the same problems, and yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely continuing with Frederick Bachman. I really enjoyed my first book of his. The next review is The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I read this for school, but this is my second time reading it, and I had to write an essay for this book. So obviously, I have good enough knowledge for this book, and I kind of know it inside out. This book tells the story of Liesel Miminger, and she is orphan. She's an orphan, and she's sent to a house in Germany, and this is during World War II, and a lot of stuff happened, and I love the characters so much. Max, her two foster parents, her best friend, Liesel Miminger's best friend, and I just really enjoyed this book. I find it hard to say like why I enjoyed it. I like the quick chapters. The story is just very sad, and I don't know, I like the sad stuff. Anyway, next review is Fahrenheit 451. Now this is a book that I thought I wouldn't like, and this is probably out of all the books I reviewed, my favorite, probably. Even though it's really short. This is not even the whole book. Only half of it is. See, the other half, all this stuff is just, what do you call it? Like, extra information, I guess, like, for school or whatever. But I enjoyed this a lot. It gives me, like, The Giver, and, Maze Runner. It's very dystopian, and, kind of 1984, and it's about this world where books are burned, knowledge is not allowed from books. You can still learn, but it's just not from books. No one likes books. The firefighters are actually meant to burn and not take out fires, and it's a very interesting take, and the themes are very interesting in this book, and I find that's what I really like about classics. Classics have really strong themes that I find it hard for books nowadays for me to find them. Like, they still have themes, obviously, but I find it hard to find themes now in books nowadays. Next is Firestarter by Stephen King. The movie just came out, So I decided to read this before the movie, and I watched the movie. The movie's a whole different deal. I hated the movie so much. And if you read the book and watch the movie, you'll see. But Firestarter tells the story of this little girl named Charlie, and she has powers. She has the ability to start fire. And her two parents gave her this gift because they entered themselves into a test because they needed the money. And it tells the story of her dad and Charlie running away from the government. And it's a pretty sad story also, but it's also very interesting. It's mostly sad though. I don't know, I think I like sad books. Next is The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan. This is my second time reading this, and this book is very interesting. I would say this is one of my least favorite Rick Riordan books, just because I was thinking about this while reading this. I feel it jumps around too much, and you might be thinking Percy Jackson, obviously. The first book jumps around quite a bit from others to all across the United States, but this book I find is very, like, weird the way it goes. Like, it goes from Paris to Egypt to United States to England. Like, they're not even connected. Like, United States, there's like an order, like in Percy Jackson, like there's a line. This one is all over the place, and I find it hard to remember things. Like, they go in like 10 different places, and other than that, I feel the characters are good. I really like Sadie and Carter. I just find the jumping around really messes with me, and it's hard to remember things because I don't know which city it's in, and yeah, a lot of things happen in this book, and it's hard to remember that much. Next is also another classic, actually. A pretty old one, Romeo and Juliet. I did not read this for school, actually. I just read it for the fun of it because, you know, Shakespeare. This is my first Shakespeare, and again, I don't think I like the story that much. I think I've already heard of the story so much that it just didn't feel new. And there's so many retellings of this that it's kind of bland, the story. Romeo, obviously, if you don't know, Romeo and Juliet meet and they fall in love in like a few hours, actually. And they both, I can't really spoil, well, I can spoil it because you'll just search it up if you want to know, but it feels very bland story. I think I'd read this and I think I enjoyed it the most. Actually, I didn't think. I know I enjoyed this the most because of the writing. I love poetry and I love the rhyme. I love Shakespeare's writing. I find it so interesting. Yes, I had to search up a lot of things, but I find his writing very interesting. And yeah, loved his writing, but the story was kind of bland. Next, and the last book, which I have 50 seconds for, 49, is The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I did not read the other stories, just The Time Machine. I quite enjoyed this book. Again, just like Romeo and Juliet, I find the story was interesting. Oh my god. The story was interesting, but I more read it for the themes, or I enjoyed it more for the themes. The theme in this essentially is how inequality has to be abolished, and there shouldn't be any inequality if there's going to be peace. And H.G. Wells, I find he's very ahead of his time. This book was written in 1890, and I feel like it's just an essay on inequality and just the social politics in the world, but you put Time Machine in a time traveler world over the essay. Anyway, that is all 8 reviews in 8 minutes. Probably should have put more time, because I think I could talk about all these books a lot more. Sorry, stop that. I could talk about these books for an hour, but, you know, not everyone wants to listen to an hour of 8 books. But, yeah, tell me in the comments if you read any of these books. Thanks for listening. This has been my first video in a couple months. Hope you like it, and I'll be soon making a lot more videos. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.